Hi, thanks for joining me on your mat today. Today we have a mini back pain sequence that will hopefully help alleviate any aches or pains that you have going on through the back side of the body and slowly build up a little bit of strength. So, why don't we all come together at the center of our mats, facing the top side of the mat, and we'll start to shift back onto the sit bones. Just balancing here, wrap the arms around the front side of the shins and start to draw yourself inward, rocking back slightly on the sit bones. Maybe the toes are just touching the mat, or you can even allow the toes to just take a little lift off as you have a little balance here and create yourself into this tiny little ball of energy. On an inhale, feel yourself expand throughout the back of the body. And on an exhale, maybe you squeeze in a little tighter and create this small little ball. Hold here for one more breath. On the exhale, let's release. Take the soles of the feet towards the mat. Bring the feet out just a little bit in front of you to make some space. And we'll sit up tall. Take the hands to the back side of the thighs. Inhale in. And on the exhale, we'll round the tailbone underneath us as we come into a seated cat position, tucking the chin and rounding through the upper side of the back. On the inhale, we'll take cow pose here as we pull ourselves towards our legs, chest coming to reach the top of the thighs, looking up. And then exhale for our cat. Go back and forth here a couple of times using your breath as your own pace. And just allow yourself to rock back and forth on the sit bones. On the next inhale, we'll just return back to neutral, seated up tall. And then let's take the feet in front of us. This time we'll take the right shin in front of the left. Inhale up and exhale. Start to walk the hands down. Now you don't have to come down very far. You can just come to forearms or even just walk the hands a couple inches in front of you. But let's try to keep the sit bones glued to the mat. The hips are pushing down towards the mat. Feel that directional movement of the muscles as they reach for the earth. And you'll feel a nice stretch across the lower side of the lower back. On the inhale, expand through the side body all the way down along the back of the spine. Send it through that lower back. And on the exhale, deepen. Allow the hips to relax and allow the legs to sink into the mat. On the next inhale, let's take our hands and we'll walk ourselves in. Now you're upright in this cross-legged position. The hands will come to the knees and we'll take cat cow again, but this time in our cross-legged position. So on the inhale, lift the chest. Feel the sternum reach up towards the sky as you draw the shoulder blades down the back. And on the exhale, rounding that tailbone, tucking, feeling the shoulder blades curve forward, and then we'll take that cow position once more. Inhale and exhale, release, tipping back into our cat. On the next inhale, we'll come back to an upright position. We'll switch the position of the legs. So now the left shin will come in front of the right shin. Inhale here, sit tall. And on the exhale, start to fold from the hips and walk yourself forward. Maybe you only come down a couple of inches. Maybe you come all the way down with your forehead onto the floor. Wherever you're at, just relax into this and notice the difference between the left and the right side of the body. Keep the breaths as even as you can with your inhales and your exhales coming through the nose. On an inhale, maybe lift the body ever so slightly, and on an exhale, feel yourself release back down into the posture. Maybe deepen just slightly more, even a millimeter. On the next inhale, we'll push ourselves back upright and we'll take a couple more rounds of cat-cow. Again, we'll start with the inhale, lifting the chest, lifting the sternum to meet the sky, and on the exhale, round. Feel the length created through the back of the body. Inhale up, looking up. Exhale, curving forward. We'll take one more of each. And on the next inhale, we'll just return to neutral. From here, you can cross the ankles or swing the feet around underneath you, and we'll just roll over them, come through a tabletop, and let's push ourselves back into a downward facing dog. Starting here with the knees bent deeply. Maybe the stomach reaches the top of the thighs. Push into the arms. Allow the fingers to spread out wide as the shoulders spread wide across the back. Take a deep inhale, and on an exhale, maybe start to push one heel and then the other towards the mat, and we'll start to walk it out for our first downward facing dog. Feel yourself create length through the back side of the body. And if you do feel better at keeping the knees bent deeply, by all means, stay right there. By keeping the knees bent, that will help you keep the length throughout the spine from the crown all the way to the tailbone, and allow yourself to lift that tailbone up towards the sky. Take one inhale here and exhale it out through the mouth. On the next inhale, we'll shift forward and come into a high plank with the shoulders over the wrists, pushing the heels back, engaging through the navel to draw it towards the spine. And on an exhale, let's all lower the knees towards the mat for a supported chaturanga. And we'll keep the toes tucked as we shift the chest forward in front of the wrists. Bend the elbows, keep them closely tucked into the side as we lower in chaturanga down. Untuck the feet, separate them to the earth, and lift up while you keep the elbows bent for your Cobra Pose. Inhale here. Exhale, allow yourself to come down towards the mat. The belly reaches the mat. From this position, take the hands just in front of the shoulders, and we'll inhale, lift. For our baby cobra, maybe take the hands off of the mat and we'll hold for one breath. Exhale, lower it down. Now take the hands underneath the shoulders. We'll push ourselves up into a tabletop position. From there, tuck the toes and then push it back into your downward facing dog. Very good. In downward facing dog, let's lift that right leg up. It doesn't need to come too high. That can bother the lower back if you are having any issues. So if you want to keep it at hip height or even lower, that is fine. From here, let's shift onto those left toes as we come up into our runner's lunge. That right foot comes in between the hands. Pausing here in the runner's lunge. Inhale. And exhale, lower the left knee towards the earth. So the left knee is on the mat. The toes are tucked, and we'll lift ourselves upright. The torso is now upright, so we aren't sinking down into the hips here as we would in a full Anjaneyasana. We're going to stay with the left hip approximately over the left knee. From this position, take the right hand to the side of the right hip. Inhale the left arm up, and exhale, we'll take a twist. Take the left hand to the outside of the right thigh. Maybe take the gaze behind you as you twist towards your right. In the twist here, feel the thighs draw together. Feel the right heel draw back towards the left knee. Inhale, create space along the spine, and exhale, maybe we deepen a little further. Very good. Release the twist. From here, let's take that left hand down towards the mat. Inhale the right arm up to the sky as we are in a supported low lunge here with a twist. On your next inhale, we will push into that left heel and lift the left knee off of the mat, and we have come into our easy twist pose. Maybe spiraling that right shoulder back a little further to give a little sunshine on top of the chest. Gaze towards your right hand. On the next exhale, let's bring that right hand back down to the mat. We return to our runner's lunge here. Pause. And on the exhale, step that right foot back. We come into our downward facing dog once more. Knees bent deeply if you would like to take that posture. From your downward facing dog, let's come forward into our high plank, holding here. In your high plank, let's lower the knees as we all come through a supported chaturanga. Bend the elbows deeply, shift the chest forward, and lower slowly onto the belly as you untuck the toes. On an inhale, come up to your high cobra. The elbows are slightly bent. On an exhale, lower yourself down towards the mat. Draw the hands in front of the shoulders. Inhale for baby cobra. Maybe lift yourself up off the mat a couple inches this time. Exhale, release it down. Hands are under the shoulders as we shift back through a tabletop. Tuck the toes and return back into our downward facing dog. We'll take that on the opposite side. Inhale the left foot up. Again, it doesn't need to come very high. On an exhale, draw the left leg in between the hands. And we're in our runner's lunge. Pause in your runner's lunge. Inhale. And on an exhale, let's lower that right knee towards the mat. Go ahead and keep the toes tucked. Lift the torso. You can bring both of the hands to the top of the left thigh. Check to make sure that your right hip is approximately on top of the right knee. So we're very upright in the torso. Left hand comes to the side of the left hip. Inhale the right arm up. And on an exhale, we'll take a twist. And to help deepen the twist, take the left hand or the right hand and press it into that left thigh. Maybe you can look a little bit further behind that left shoulder. Inhale, feel your crown grow tall. And exhale, maybe look a little further behind you. Very good. On the next inhale, just unwind. Allow that right hand to come to the opposite of the left foot. And we'll inhale the left arm up into the sky as we take a twist. Feel the left shoulder start to come back behind you. Stay open through the chest. Take one big inhale here, and on an exhale, push back through that right heel and lift the right knee off of the ground for your easy twist. If you did lift the right knee, maybe you feel yourself twisting even more. On the next inhale, take that left hand to the outside of the left foot. Pause in your runner's lunge. And then exhale, we'll push it back into our downward facing dog. Take one big inhale here. And exhale it out through the mouth. Very good. We'll come back through our high plank, shifting forward with the shoulders over the wrists, holding here. Draw the navel in, round through that upper back. Push into the heels as you activate the quads. And then bend the knees. Lower them to the earth. Start to bend the elbows as we chaturanga lower. Down onto the mat once more. Lifting up for our high cobra. And from here, we'll lower ourselves back all the way down onto the mat. And you can bring your arms in front of you. Place the elbows just in front of the shoulders to give yourself some space. Maybe widen the feet a little bit more to make room for the low back. And we'll take our Sphinx pose. Possibly one of my favorite asanas out of all the yoga asanas. It's a wonderful pose to feel very strong and powerful, like you're ready for anything in Sphinx. As you hold here, continue to take nice and even breaths in and out through the nose. Feel the hips sink down into the mat evenly between the left and the right hip. Maybe draw the thighs downward, pushing into the thighs, further protecting and building strength in the low back. At that same time, you have the opposition with the chest, feeling the sternum lift up and lift forward as you try to get more sunlight on the front side of the body. Very good. We're going to stay in our Sphinx pose and take some movement with the legs. And just one leg at a time, we'll start with the right leg. Draw the right heel in towards the right glute. Now, most likely it's not going to touch, but draw that in and make sure that you create a concentrated effort with it so that you're very actively pulling that hip in towards the glute, even though it most likely will not reach. And then release that foot back towards the earth. We'll take that same movement, drawing slowly and carefully with the left foot, squeezing it in, and then releasing it towards the mat. Let's go for the right and left. We'll do about 10 repetitions of these. Very much activating the backside of the body as you play around with some leg positioning here. We're about halfway through. Feel your glutes and your hamstrings really light up as you take these little movements, and do every single one with intention. Let's do one more, one set, ending on the left side. And from here, we'll take the right leg back into that upright position again so the toes are pointing towards the sky. Now from here, can you lift that right knee off of the mat? You don't need to even take it very far. It might only feel like a millimeter or so, but just keep that right hip connected as you lift the right knee off of the mat and hold for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, release. You really feel that in your glute as you try to make the lift and the connection there with the mat. We'll take that on the left side, bend the left foot up, toes are pointing up towards the sky, and then we'll push into that left hip. At the same time, lift that left knee just a tiny bit off of the mat. If you feel any sharpness into the lower back, maybe back down a little bit and lower the knee just slightly. We'll hold here for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it down. Very good. From here, take the chest all the way down towards the mat. Bring the arms alongside you, the thumbs facing down, and the palms are turned in. From here, lift the chest and the shoulders up off of the mat, lifting the arms, drawing the shoulder blades down the back as you squeeze the shoulders together. We're in a half locust pose here. Now you can stay here lifting the top part off of the mat, but if you would like an extra challenge, you can also go for your full locust and start to lift the legs and holding in your locust pose for 5, 4, keep lifting. Try to keep everything raised. 3, 2, and 1. Let's release it down towards the mat. Maybe take a quick moment here with the head resting on the back of the hands. If you want, you can windshield wiper the legs back and forth, just to come back to a quick balance within the spine. When you're ready, we're going to push back through a tabletop position and then swing the legs around to the side. Join me as we start to roll down onto our back. Maybe take the hands to the back of the thighs. And we'll come up and get situated here as we would in a bridge pose. So bring the heels back a little bit closer towards the glutes. The fingertips are just barely touching the heels. And we'll take a variation on bridge by lifting that right ankle up and over the left thigh. From here, let's press deeply into that left foot to lift the hips off of the mat. So we're in this raised figure 4 position here in our bridge pose. Pressing that left heel down into the mat to lift the left hip, but at the same time we want to keep the right hip just about even with the left, which may be quite difficult. It'll want to sag. Keeping that right hip lifted, also pressing down into that right knee to not only open up the hip, but to also build into the strength in the back body. You're going to really feel this through the glutes. Press into that right knee. There's a downward motion. In the left knee, you should feel it pushing forwards towards the top of the mat. Stay relaxed throughout the neck and the shoulders. One more inhale here, and on an exhale, start to slowly lower yourself back down so that your hips reach the mat once more. Keep the right ankle connected to the left thigh, and then draw that left leg in for our reclined figure 4 pose. When you're in a reclined figure 4 pose, continue to keep that right foot flexed. And your hands can be either on the back of the left thigh or on the left shin. As you pull the right leg closer towards you, keep that right elbow pushing into that inner thigh of the right leg. And you'll get a much deeper stretch into that right hip flexor. When you're ready, release that left leg, allow it to return to the mat, and then unhook the right leg. We'll take that same sequence on the left side. So let's cross that left ankle over the right thigh. Hands can come down to your side. Push into that right foot and the right heel as you lift the right hip up off of the mat. I notice I have a big difference between my left and my right sides here. It's much harder for me to lift my left hip up and at the same time to push the left knee down to open through the front side of the left hip. But the actions are still there. It may not look the same as my right side, but I am taking the same actions in my body to help achieve a similar outcome, to have the same feeling. In yoga, our postures may not look exactly the same from person to person, but the goal is to have a certain feeling in the body, in the muscles. So we're driving that right knee forward as we pull the right heel back towards the top of the body. That engages the back line of the body and creates strength. At the same time, trying to lift through that left hip and pushing down through that left knee to create an openness through that left hip. On the next exhale with relief, let's lower down onto our back. And we'll take our recline figure 4 on this side. So keep that left foot hooked. Take either the front of the right shin or the back of the right thigh as you clasp the hands and draw that left leg in towards your chest. Left foot is flexed. Take a nice inhale in. Exhale. Can you draw it any closer? At the same time, feel the hips stay heavy and down towards the mat. On the next inhale, release that right leg. Unhook the left leg and let the soles of the feet come to the mat. And from here, we'll just take our regular bridge pose, start to peel the tailbone off of the mat. Lift the hips. Maybe as you do so, you can start to bring the shoulder blades underneath you and draw them together. Lift the hips a little higher. Push the knees towards the front of the room as you draw the heels back towards the back side of the body. And just a gentle tuck of the chin so that you're not straining in the neck and you're nice and relaxed. It should be fairly easy to talk in this position. Take a nice inhale in. And exhale, maybe widen out those shoulder blades, make space as you let the spine release down, connecting with the tailbone last as you return yourself towards the mat. Very good. From here, let's lift up the hips only about an inch or so, and we're going to shift the hips over to the left about 2 inches. From here, let's drop the knees over towards the right and we'll take a twist. You can let the right hand come to the outside of the left thigh and the left arm can open up all the way out to the side. If you prefer, you can take your gaze over towards the left hand or just look up towards the sky, and we'll start to close out our practice with a gentle twist. That left shoulder is reaching for the mat. It doesn't need to connect, but again, it's the directional movement. We're all about directional movement in yoga and feeling that action of the muscles as they reach in the direction. That's our goal. Someday, maybe that shoulder will connect, but in the meantime, we just want to feel that opening throughout the chest, staying wide. And create space with every inhale and deepen with every exhale on the twist. Very good. On the next inhale, let's come back through center. We'll shift the hips back to neutral so we're in line on our mat. This time, lift the hips up about an inch, and now we'll place them over to the right a couple of inches and allow the knees to drop over to the left. The right arm opens up to the right, and maybe you have your left hand on the outside of the right thigh. When we shift the hips over to the right like that, that just helps keep our spine in a nice line so that it's like wringing out a piece of licorice and you're keeping it in a nice straight line as you create this twist through the body. We'll take one more deep breath here. And we'll start to release back, allow the back to come towards the mat. Draw the knees in, wrap the arms around the shins, give yourself a giant squeeze, maybe lift the head, neck, and the shoulders up off of the mat. Squeeze tight, 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 tight. And on an exhale, allow everything to expand. And we'll come into our Shavasana, legs out long. Feet are just falling out to the side. As you open up the arms, maybe the palms face the sky. Or if it feels better, you can keep your left hand over heart and then maybe draw the right hand over the top of the belly. We'll start to close out our practice and start to bring the breath back to normal. If you chose to have the hand over the belly and the chest, just take notice of the inhale and exhale as you start to bring everything to a nice even pace. We'll stay here for about a minute, and if you would like to take longer, feel free to just allow the video to keep on playing. When you are ready to come out of Shavasana, start to wiggle the toes, maybe flex and point the feet. Slowly draw the feet in until the soles of the feet are flat on the mat. And if you are suffering from back issues, do make it a point to just slowly come out of your Shavasana, maybe coming onto your side and then pushing up. From here, we'll return back to center. Go ahead and come into a comfortable cross-legged seat. Inhale the arms up. Draw the palms down through heart center as you tuck the chin. And we'll close here. Thanks for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that quick little practice today. And I hope that you are feeling good into your back body and just throughout. If you like this practice or if you have any ideas that you would like me to expand on, please leave a comment below. Go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more videos every single week. Have a great day. Bye.